On August 6th and August 9th in 1945, after 6 months of intense firebombing of 67 other Japanese cities, the nuclear weapon named Little Boy was dropped on the city of Hiroshima on August 6th, followed by August 9th, the detonation of the Fat Man over Nagasaki. To date, these are the only attacks with nuclear weapons in the history of warfare. Let me share this with you. When the bombs were dropped, I was very happy. The war would be over now, they said, and I was very happy. The boys would be coming home very soon, they said, and I was very happy. We showed them, they said, and I was very happy. They told us that the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki had been destroyed, and I was very happy. But in August of 1945, I was only 10 years old. The crew of the B-29 was so young and heroic, and in the photo they also looked very happy. For some reason, I clearly remember the name of the pilot, Paul Tibbets. Of course, I remember the name of the plane, the Enola Gay. And yes, I remember the name of the bomb. It was called Little Boy. That made me smile. I was so proud to be an American that day because we had done something so remarkable. They said we were the first. We were Americans. We were powerful. But they didn't say that Little Boy had killed 66,000 people with his huge fireball that fateful day in August. They didn't say that Hiroshima was not a military target, but a city filled with men and women and children and animals who had no idea they were about to die so horribly. When you're 10, they don't always tell you everything. I don't think anyone made as big a fuss over the second plane or its crew. Are they even in the Smithsonian? Second best doesn't count, I suppose, but I remember wondering why they had done it again. Wouldn't the war be over anyway, like they said? Weren't the boys coming home very soon? Hadn't they already showed them how strong we were in Hiroshima? So they told me that the second bomb was called Fat Man, and that made me smile. I was even prouder to be an American that second day. They said this would be the end for sure, and after all, these people were the enemy, and you kill the enemy when you can. But they didn't tell me that Fat Boy had killed 39,000 human beings with another fireball on another day in August. They didn't tell me that Nagasaki was not a military target, but a city filled with, well, you know. They didn't even tell me that there were horses trapped in the flames of Nagasaki because I loved horses, and that would have made me sad. But when you're 10, they don't tell you everything. Today I'm no longer 10. I'm no longer happy when bombs fall, and the names Fat Man and Little Boy no longer make me smile because I now know the devastation and horror of burned bodies and twisted metal that result from the mushroom clouds. And I'm ashamed that on this day, Americans don't stop to remember what was done, and I am horrified that my government has just killed thousands of defenseless men and women and children and animals who are not the enemy, and that the silence of America is deafening. Today, I'm so very sad that many young people don't even know about the Enola Gay and the mission of its crew. And I'm so terribly ashamed that the war we have just waged has been so devoid of the reality of death and pain. They haven't told us about the hundreds of thousands of civilians they've killed. They haven't shown us the devastation they have caused. They withhold the true numbers of our own military who die each day. They never mention the hundreds who have been terribly wounded. War is surgical and sanitized, they tell us, in a very effective way to liberate people. They speak to us as if we were all 10. George W. Bush is not 10. He has announced to the world that he, as the leader of this great nation, has the right to use nuclear weapons once again. This time, he says, he has the right to char men and women and children and animals if he suspects their leaders of being a threat to us. He's not 10. He really isn't. Then why is he so very happy? And why, please tell me, why is he smiling? That was written, I think I read this last year. Reg over at tvnewslies.org wrote that. So tomorrow and Saturday will be the 2 days that commemorate the nuclear bombing of 2 Japanese cities for no reason at all. And if you want to believe the revisionist history that, we had to do it in order to stop an invasion of U.S. ground forces that may have resulted in the deaths of 1 million soldiers, go ahead and believe that. But it has been proven by historians over and over and over and over and over again to have been another one of these filthy lies put out there by or by revisionist historians. The Japanese had already made overtures about suing for peace. The Russians were watching from the Kamchatka Peninsula, waiting to declare. As a matter of fact, I think they did declare war on Japan for the sole reason at the time, the Soviet Union, of sharing in the spoils of war. Or they were ready to declare war. I'm a little foggy on that. And our dropping the nuclear weapons was also a warning, because U.S. experts like George Kennan already understood that the next foe that we would have to face would be the Soviet Union and its takeover of Eastern Europe. So it was a warning to the Russians. Look what we have. But nobody pays any attention to that history anymore. But, the question always was, why Hiroshima? Hiroshima, it's my understanding, was not a primary target. I forget what the primary target was that the Enola Gay was supposed to, over which the Enola Gay was supposed to drop the atomic bomb. But because of weather conditions, I believe I've got this right, or maybe it was a second city, but Hiroshima was a backup target, and the objective was to commit so much chaos, destruction, and absolute murder that the sensibilities of the Japanese Imperial Command and the rest of the world would be so incredibly shocked that the only reaction would be unconditional surrender. The dropping of the second bomb, I think, beyond any argument, was absolutely unnecessary. Granted, there can be argument about the first bomb. I think that the revisionist historians would like us to believe that it was necessary to drop the bomb on Hiroshima. I don't agree with that, but at least there's wiggle room for argument there or debate. But as far as Nagasaki was concerned, to 3 days later destroy and incinerate the population of a second city, to me, was just, it bordered on uncivilized. Now, that's not the word I'm looking for, because all war is a result of the restraints of civilization disappearing. But it was barbaric, just absolutely barbaric to nuclear bomb the second city. Irish Dave writes, Mike, I don't need to tell you that Hiroshima, Dresden, the Tokyo firebombing, Nagasaki, were all terrorist acts. And to demonstrate to the USSR that the US of A had a super weapon and would use it anytime, any place we chose. Here's tonight's fun fact. The largest Christian population of any Japanese city in 1945, Hiroshima.